the preacher asked the man, "Are you laboring in the vineyard of the Lord, my good man?" Not even looking at the preacher and continuing his work, the farmer replied, "No, these are soybeans." "You don't understand," said the preacher. "Are you a Christian?" With the same amount of interest as his previous answer, the farmer said, "No, my name is Jones. You must be looking for Jim, Christian. He lives a mile south of here." The young, determined preacher tried again, asking the farmer, "Are you lost?" "No, I've lived here all my life," answered the farmer. "Are you prepared for the resurrection?" the frustrated preacher asked. Now this caught the farmer's attention, and he asked, "When is it going to be?" Thinking he was finally getting somewhere, the young preacher replied, "It could be today, it could be tomorrow, or it could be the next day." Taking a handkerchief from his back pocket and wiping his brow, the farmer remarked, "Well, don't mention it to my wife. She doesn't get out much and she'll want to go all 3 days." The resurrection. For Christians, this concept both refers to the unique experience of Jesus that his followers had in the days following the crucifixion, and to the belief that, like Jesus, his followers in all times and places will one day be resurrected from the dead to be with him. The idea of resurrection was not new with Jesus. The religious leaders of his day were rigidly divided over the idea. The Sadducees, the religious elites who presided over the Jerusalem temple, ardently and categorically denied the idea of resurrection. And the Pharisees, the religious progressives who enjoyed the popular support of the common people, passionately supported the idea of the resurrection. In our reading from Luke's Gospel, a group of Sadducees posed a very tricky question to Jesus about the resurrection, hoping to make the whole business seem unbelievable. Ancient law stipulated that if a man died without children, it was his brother's responsibility to marry the wife and produce children for the deceased. The Sadducees, intending to make Jesus look foolish, asked him whose wife a woman would be at the time of the resurrection if she'd married each of 7 brothers and all died childless. To us, this may seem like a ridiculous question. But I've personally talked with women who, referring to this passage, have avoided remarrying after the death of a spouse, so there would be no confusion about whose wife they really were at the time of the resurrection. As per usual, Jesus was not so easily ensnared. He makes 2 important points. Firstly, Jesus essentially deconstructs the entire patriarchal structure that makes the possessing of women as property possible. To paraphrase Jesus, in the future, in the resurrection, women won't be the property of men to give and to take in marriage. Now, for those of us looking for examples of biblical feminism in the face of the prevailing patriarchal biblical witness and of the church's own role in the subjugation of women through history, this is a very important claim on Jesus' part. He looks forward to a time when women aren't simply the property of men to be sold and bought in marriage. Secondly, Jesus makes a point that speaks to the very controversy between those who believe in bodily resurrection and those who do not. I might add that this controversy is alive and well in the church of the 21st century, between those supernaturalist believers who look forward to a physical resurrection of the dead and those naturalist believers who do not hold belief in a bodily resurrection. To both sides, Jesus says this: God is a God not of the dead, but of the living. For to God, all of them are alive. On this All Saints Sunday, we remember those who have gone before us in life and in death. Jesus' words to his hearers, I believe, bear two important implications for us. Firstly, Jesus refers to Moses, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, people whose memory and history continue to play an important role in the lives of Jesus' hearers. In so doing, he reminds them that the definitive life cycle of a human being does not have the final word. An individual's memory lives on in the lives of those they touched, resurrection or not. Secondly, Jesus reminds his hearers that God's primary interest is in the living, in life, in here and now. While this does not definitively settle the question of resurrection, it does reframe it in a way that offers perspective. The great benefit of religion is not for the dead. It's for the living, for us. Religion challenges us to appreciate beauty, truth, and goodness.